We now present the exciting, unforgettable radio drama, Front Page
ML.
The story of a crack newspaper man and his
Podcast, the story of ML and the Soul of Detroit.
Today,
ML
is covering the story which he calls The Man Who Knew All the Angles.
Eli Zaret.
You acid around your finger out of my face. It's gone.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now?
Hey kids, it's your old pal, ML Elrick, back with the man who knows all the angles, Eli Zaret, our special guest, getting a little warm-up here before he moderates once again the Detroit Sports Media Luncheon, which will be held Wednesday, which I think it's sold out, so you can't come and join us. That's too bad. And I'm waiting anxiously to see if Eli mentions his SAT score tomorrow.
I'm not going to do that.
You're not. That's retired.
No, in fact, I thought should I be telling some Tucker jokes, and I feel a lot of.
You can tell him here.
I feel a lot of empathy. I was trying to figure out, what can I say about Tucker? If he'd spent $8,000 in that hotel room down in Florida, he could have had the two best hookers in town. Instead, he spends $80 million on a long-distance phone call by himself.
How much did Robert Kraft spend when he was in Florida?
Right. And remember, Mitch Albom had the big column saying it was just a lack of judgment. I'm thinking, you're right. That's a real lack of judgment if you're just horny sitting in a hotel room.
Yeah, I've
definitely picked the wrong route.
I've made plenty of bad decisions, none of which traumatized somebody and cost me $85 million at the same time. But of all the penalties that have been called on Michigan State, and the Free Press had a column today pointing out that I think we are 118th in the country in terms of penalties. Illegal use of hand was the most costly one that we've had.
Yeah, there's a good joke. Well, if anything could bond the two schools together, right? Isn't the amazement of how stupid Mel Tucker is?
Or you can say his undisclosed injury is carpal tunnel.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, the jokes are flying.
Yeah, no, okay. I guess. We really are getting warmed
medical
up.
Condition. That's right. His undisclosed medical condition. Why he couldn't come to the hearing or
give me a whatever.
Well, yeah, and we still don't know what this medical condition is. It hasn't been disclosed. I don't think we know what the status of the hearing is. Do they?
It's supposed to be by October 30th. I think there's supposed to be a ruling.
But so they just move on without him. It's just if you don't say anything, then whatever we have on the record is, because if that's the case, he's going to get smeared. He's going to get creamed. Yeah. Because if the other person is saying all these horrible things about you, and you're not saying anything about yourself, all they can go by is what's on the record.
There's only that whole thing is such a sad, awful, ugly mess on every side, from her to him to the university to his hiring to the contract, on and on and on. The only two things that matter is who will be the next coach and what will it cost them to separate from Tucker, and can he drag this on? Are they going to have to make him a payoff of maybe $15-20 million? Who knows? But he could drag it on, and that's the only question. When can they separate from him and move on? And I will say, in fairness, 2 years, things changed quickly. 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago, October 30th, 2021, Michigan State, 2 7-0 teams, and Michigan State defeats Michigan 37-33. Tucker then drops a few rumors about, LSU, whoever else wants him. They kind of overreact and panic and give him. And to think less than 2 years ago what has happened and how, again, the whole dynamic in the rivalry changes. And I think that's the hope for Michigan State. Things do change. I mean, it's a series of streaks. Michigan won 6 in a row between 2002 and 2007 before, and of course the last one was Mike Hart's regrettable little brother comment. And then Michigan State won 7 of the next 8 under D'Antonio, pride before the fall type of thing. And they've been pretty much 500 ever since. So it can happen. And don't forget, in 2020, Michigan was a 24-point favorite at home, and the Spartans beat them in Tucker's first win. So they're 24-point dogs this weekend. Can it happen? I don't think so, but there has to be some hope somewhere for Michigan State.
I think the wild card missing in that 2020 game is we need to have a once-a-century worldwide pandemic to give us a chance. So I'm willing to sacrifice the game if it means we don't have millions of people dying some sort of
How gracious
sort of
of you.
vaccine. That's what I'm willing to do for humanity. But yeah, no, it's. As a Spartan who has experienced being on the bottom of this rivalry and spent a little bit of time on the top, I will say my favorite games are the ones where before kickoff it's up for grabs, where you don't know who's going to win, where it looks like this could go either way. And I remember Michigan saying several years ago, some of the players coming to East Lansing, I think this is the game where Devin Gardner almost got killed, where they were saying, I just hope they don't beat us up too bad. I've never heard Michigan players say anything like that, and they did get creamed.
They lost 29-6. I think didn't he have 6 interceptions or something like that?
Well, they had negative rushing yardage, and I don't know if you remember, but Devin Gardner was one of the players at this luncheon that you're moderating.
Yeah, he was great.
I never liked a guy as much as I liked Devin Gardner.
He was
so
he was terrific. He was funny,
smart,
self-effacing,
and funny, and he was talking about before the game. Michigan guys were saying something. He came in the locker room and said, guys, when you get them all riled up, I'm the one they're coming for. And I think he got sacked like half a dozen times.
That's what it
wasn't the picks, it was the sacks.
I get it mixed up. Who was the black Michigan quarterback that I shouldn't even say black, but
Denard?
No, not Denard.
Michael Taylor?
No, he was a lefty. Come on, back in the
Oh, Franklin?
No.
Wait,
That's the guy
era?
from Peanuts. That's the black kid from Peanuts.
What year are we talking?
20 years ago, 15 years ago. Not Gardner. I can't think now.
This is crazy that we can't figure it out.
Yeah.
I think I know who you're talking about,
Yeah.
but he never quite put it together.
No.
Well, there's Demetrius Brown and Marcus
Demetrius
Taylor.
Brown, that's it.
Okay. I was going to say they both kind of battled
Is that
back
the one they
and
gave?
forth.
They gave him number 98, I think. They gave
Oh, no, that was Devin.
That was
Devin got
Denard
98.
Robinson. That's shoelaces, wasn't it?
No, Gardner. Devin Gardner
Gardner.
wore 98.
Did he have the stupid patch on, too? Wasn't that the Dave Brandon, we're
The legacy
unretiring
numbers?
jersey?
bad idea that was.
I wish he was back. I miss Dave Brandon. I miss Dave Brandon, Rich Rod, Brady Hoke. Bring them all back.
Look at the turnaround in Harbaugh when after the 2020 loss, before they went up to Michigan State and Tucker beat them to go 8-0, and then it was within weeks that he had the $95 million contract. Harbaugh had his contract slashed in half. Mm-hmm. Michigan was humiliated, and look at the turnaround there. So something can happen. And this game at Rutgers last weekend for Michigan State. I mean, I know there's a lot of vitriol between the fans in this rivalry. It's gotten so ugly, social media, whatever. But if you don't have a place in your heart for what these kids are going through and what the fans are going through, were you at the one where I asked Connor Cook at one of these? It's called.
Oh yeah.
And I said, every family's got Michigan to Michigan State, and the players know each other, and we love the rivalry. Isn't the rivalry more about love than hate? And Connor Cook looks at me like it's the stupidest thing he's heard in his life. He goes, no, it's about hate, not love. And so I just wonder, I guess there's so much pressure on the players anyway, but we love the rivalry, so I don't know where the hate comes in, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean,
The fans.
It's the arrogance that makes the Spartans so angry.
Seems to come from one side mainly.
But
we are arrogant.
Yeah,
You're looking at me.
No, quite. In fact,
I find John. I find your input, believe it or not, kind of fascinating.
No, I just love that you guys have
there's two Michigan guys and there's a Michigan
finger
State
on
guy
the pulse here. This is really something. And I don't include Eli in this because he was asked to talk about this. We've got a movement out there. I just came from Tampa, Florida. There were 15,000 people dressed up in Honolulu blue taking over another stadium, and I had to walk down the ramp because the press box elevator was closed, and the fans are chanting and singing. We got something. It's what's happening right now, and Eli will attest to this, is new. It is different. Mm-hmm. It is 60 years that's being unleashed right now, and because our host still doesn't like the Lions because they damage it. He doesn't want to talk about it. It's the biggest. I've been in this business for 20 years. This is the biggest sports story I've seen.
The Lions are
crazy. Yet we're in here to talk about the least anticipated Michigan State game in 2 decades.
When
Shawn has his finger on the pulse.
Great news judgment.
When the Tigers, the Wings, and the Pistons are down, nobody cares. People always are emotionally attached to the Lions. And when they lose, the anger, the frustration is paramount. So you're right. No matter what it is, the fan base is incredibly engaged. And in this situation, what's funny, so I'm talking to a guy yesterday who's convinced that it all has to collapse because they're the Lions. And I go, how stupid is that?
Makes no sense.
It makes no sense. These players don't know what happened for the last 65 years. These coaches aren't into that. The fans may remember, but this is a whole new world. And Sheila Hamp has done an incredible, I don't call her lucky if you want, hiring Brad Holmes is a genius, and that's what this team needs. Every NFL team that succeeds has either a genius in the front office or on the sidelines, and they may have two of them, and the players buy in, and so the past does not matter. But the other thing is that you're alluding to, Shawn, is, yeah, people are excited, and we call it on the Drew and Mike show, what do we call it? We call it the overreaction.
Yeah.
But, you know,
they're going to the Super Bowl and you won't admit it.
Sensible people like you and I that have a more a perspective on this
Shawn and you,
say, let's just say that they're very good right now. And they've won 13 of 16. Doesn't happen by accident. They're very, very good. They're not the only good team, but they're one of them. And we have to see it play out. So I'm not going to predict a Super Bowl or a playoff disappointment. They're very, very good. Take it, as they say, the old cliche, a game at a time, and see if they can keep this up. And you can be very, very good and still lose in a playoff game on a fluke, whatever. So you can't say Super Bowl, but you can say this is different. This is new. This hasn't happened in a long time. And although they're 5-1 back in 2011, but
this is the first time they've won 4 straight games by double digits since the 1960s. But beyond that, there's a psychological component that's going on right now, and I'm sure you guys all hear this in your own life, right, with your family and your friends and so on and so forth. And there's a recognition nationally all of a sudden because it's the 3rd straight road game where Detroiters, Michiganders, and some of it's because, Michiganders live in Florida, right? And that's part of it, but that's not all of it. They took over Green Bay and Kansas City. Michiganders haven't moved to Kansas City, but they took over that stadium. So there's a recognition nationally of
they may just be big Taylor Swift fans,
right? But what kind of fan base? To me, it's one of the great fan bases in this country that's been undiscovered nationally, and that's starting to happen a little bit right now. And I think
it's a horrible fan base. They will cheer for garbage.
That's what makes it a great fan base.
No, you do not reward bad behavior. No.
Wait. You're the guy that before the show today said you missed watching Cubs games during the day. I mean, it's very similar. The lovable losers, right?
Well, no, that was more like I love baseball, and it's more like white noise. I didn't live and die with the Cubs winning or losing.
I want Eli to weigh on this,
team
please.
that has Steve Lake as a catcher, you can't have much hope in.
I've written about this before. I think that the Lions fan base is similar to the Red Sox and the Cubs fan base. They just don't have the poetry of the national losses because they've not gotten to the playoffs to have those stinging losses that people around the country are familiar with, like maybe even the Browns have.
There's lots of poetry. Roses are red, the Lions blue.
Painful losses on a national scale in the playoffs. The Lions don't have that. This fan base doesn't have that. So there's no poetic quality of poetic misery to like some of the other famous, the Buffalo Bills or whatever. But the Lions this is really one of the great, great fan bases in the country.
Somebody did an online thing about 7 or 8 years ago, which categorized Lions fans in 6 different ways. From number 1 was, no matter how bad they were the year before, we're going to be 14-2, we're going to win the Super Bowl. And that down to number 6 is, it doesn't matter, as long as the Fords own the team, we suck and I'm not going to watch. But of course they still watch. The overall thing is, whether the nuances of whether the lovable losers or not, is that the NFL is an incredible entertainment entity that is so clearly number 1 in this country for so many reasons, from the violence, from the promotion of the NFL, from the nature of the game, for the fact that it's a national game and not a regional game like baseball and hockey is.
Gambling.
And gambling to it with the
fantasy.
Yeah.
So it's so ingrained into our consciousness. It's our religion, really. And you're talking about NFL is almost. It's like a religion, as in sports.
Then I'm an atheist. I can't stand the NFL. I don't like the players.
Eli, we go through this.
I don't like the hype.
We go through this a lot with him.
The shows that they have, all the idiots on the in the halftime and before, it's a bunch of big goofballs having a yuck
Absolutely, it's all
it's unwatchable to me. It is some of the most miserable dreck on TV.
Wait a minute.
NFL?
The NFL?
The NFL. I find it.
That's why I got a text yesterday saying, "Oh, let's talk about Michigan State."
No, but Shawn is right.
Story.
Shawn is right. Everybody loves the Lions. We don't have a college football game where people actually are invested in the schools because they may have went there, and there's a lot on the line. We shouldn't talk about either. Here's what we're going to talk about today, and I should have told you this earlier, Eli. Wayne Rooney is just hired to coach Birmingham. That's
Really?
Tom Brady's team. He was at Derby County. He left.
Got blown out here, though.
He left DC United. Wayne
Don't
Rooney
suck
is
me
now
down,
coaching Birmingham. He's going to try and get him out of the championship into the Premier League. Shawn, what's your take?
I think you're Mark.
But Shawn,
his stubbornness. It's Carlos-esque a little bit. Carlos Menarez, who writes for the Detroit Free Press.
Yeah, let's talk about the Lions on our show because you guys won't talk about it in the Carlos and Shawn podcast.
It's not that. It's not the Lions per se.
God.
It's what's going on in this metro area right now and the way
Everybody loves a winner. You're surprised by this?
It's not surprising at all. It's
then why are we
totally
talking
predictable.
about it?
Listen, last time I was
It's so predictable. That means boring.
Listen,
Predictable is boring.
But ML, we've never seen this before.
No, we haven't. We've got national announcers, and I was in the locker room yesterday.
Yes, we have. I've got 2 copies of Jimmy Spider-Man Allen's 45 in my basement.
40 years ago.
Yeah, because they started hot like this, and everybody was, the Lions, the Lions, the Lions. Everybody was losing their mind, and then the Lions lost almost every game after that. I'm not saying that's going to happen this time, but we have been here before.
I was talking to a couple of players yesterday who played for a few other
Who weren't
teams.
born
They've never gone to a road game where a home quarterback has had to consider going into silent cadence because the crowd, the opposing fans have taken over and they're so loud. Do you realize how radical that is?
I think it happens at Raider games all the time.
Listen,
and Eagles fans are throwing batteries at people. I mean, there are lots of insane fan bases.
There's 2 parallel things going here. One is the games itself and the players and what it means to them, and the other thing is the sociological experiment that is fandom. And that's the fascination for me.
Exactly.
Whether the Lions win the Super Bowl or not does not affect my life any way at all. But the fact that millions of people are tied up emotionally in how these strangers do. There isn't a single player except for Aiden Hutchins that even came from Detroit or dreamt about playing for the Lions as a kid. So it's this entity that people get emotionally attached to because of a myriad reasons, including the entertainment aspect. And to your point, no matter how they interrupt it and screw it up, from pregame shows with 7 guys in the field yucking it up, laughing at each other's jokes, to the incessant predictions before games that mean absolutely zero.
Brought to you by your gambling site.
To see in Common and what's his face, Jamie Foxx, in your fucking face every break for 3 minutes while the players got to stand around. So the breaks in the game, the commercials, it's all awful. But the game itself is so incredibly compelling, and the fact it's only 1 a week. So Shawn sees either incredible elation or this tremendous disappointment. And you see the first time when they lost the 1 game to Seattle, I'm listening to the post-game show driving home. Campbell's really a shitty coach.
It's totally true.
And blah blah blah.
No, it's totally true.
And so it's this sine wave of ups and downs that create tremendous week-to-week reactions.
Mark, you grew up here. You understand this.
Sure.
And Mike, I thought, grew up here and understood this. It's not just the winning right now. It's the 6 decades of losing.
You got it.
With the region and how the region feels about itself and how the region thinks the rest of the country looks at them. There's a chip on the shoulder here. So there's a lot of psychological layers going on right now that have more to do with just a team getting good.
So
and it's new, and it can only happen once.
If my dad could only be here to see this.
Exactly.
He had season tickets for 30 years.
And everybody shits on Detroit, and now we've got something. That's what's happening here, and it can only happen once.
Just because you have the same hairdo doesn't make you Dr. Phil
wait a second, time
with
out.
your multiple layers of psychological garbage.
Last point. This can
Don't talk over Shawn. He's on a roll.
This can only happen one time.
If they
get to the playoffs and win a game and have a really good season this year, let's say for whatever reason they win a Super Bowl. I know that sounds crazy.
Just like the Cubs.
And they come back and they're good for several of the next years. It will not feel like it does this year. It can only happen once when you get good after a half a century of losing. That's what makes this different. It's another thing that makes it different.
So all our anticipation is about we may finally win a playoff game. Sorry, I'm going to need a little more than that before my heart rate increases.
Well, there has been a severe
heart of coal.
There's been a severe lack of like things in life that can bond groups of people that are different together, right? Social media kind of pushes us in these corners. News media pushes us into corners. We retreat. We want to be around people the same. But everybody that is a football fan, and there are lots of them, can rally around the home team, the Detroit Lions, right? We all. I ran into a guy at 7-Eleven. I don't know this guy. When we sat and talked about the Lions for a good 5 minutes because it is a common bond, and that is a overall good thing. It's also the biggest difference. Besides gameplay and crazy things that happen, it's the biggest difference between college football.
How are the taquitos?
Excellent. They're always excellent at 7-Eleven. But you know,
what kind of taquitos?
I'll eat any of them from 7-Eleven. You know this. The point being, so that's the NFL.
Another guilty pleasure.
And then to Shawn, you wonder why we care about Michigan and Michigan State. It's because that is being pushed.
No, I don't wonder why.
Tribalism.
I know why we care about that, but right now I just think it's
But it's not.
In the shadow a little bit.
It's not.
The Lions are going to have 17 games against teams from throughout the country. There's only one game this season where the two biggest college programs in the state of Michigan are going to go toe-to-toe. If you don't think that's worth talking about, as opposed to the Lions playing one of the 17
I'm not saying it's not worth talking about.
No, I know, but every week we come in here and all Shawn wants to talk about is the Lions.
What did Mags Lane just post here? What did you say, Mark?
All of Michigan loves the Lions. Except for ML.
Yeah.
Well, you'll all catch up.
You're talking about half the state, and we're talking about the whole state, and there's a difference, but that's okay. You've always been a divider.
People also need this.
You know, our bosses at the Free Press have gotten to Shawn because you know what the big headline in the Free Press today? Somebody on the Detroit Lions broke a shoelace. You know what's dominating our website today? Somebody on the Detroit Lions had a taco.
You know why it's dominating
Tuesday
on the website? Because
Allen Park.
the website doesn't care about your feelings. It's a lot. It's a what do you call it? What's the mathematical
algorithm?
Algorithm. Yeah. So it's putting up. The editors make the initial choice, but then stuff stays up based on how many people are reading it. And right now, the fans in this area can't get enough of the Lions. It's unbelievable.
Certainly, somebody on this show can't get enough of the Lions, even though he has his own show.
I'm trying to talk about the Lions ad
nauseum.
No, I'm just trying to acknowledge all the taquito conversations that are going on around metropolitan Detroit right now because they're everywhere.
And you know what? There may be some people who are interested in a little rivalry that's going to be played on.
That's why
under the lights on Saturday night. No, I mean it's just every week it's the Lions. You know what it is? Fine,
Shawn. I'm sorry.
Fine. I'm glad they finally have something to cheer for.
Sports is about the narrative. It's why Logan Paul, who really can't box, goes against the guy who's not a boxer. And because you create a narrative with millions of people on social media and you talk about it and you create some hatred and a storyline, people become interested. So the Lions are an incredible narrative right now, so powerful that people that otherwise don't care are tied in. When the 84 Tigers went on the road, when they went to 35-5 in Anaheim, there were more Tiger fans in the stands than not because the narrative was, this is record-breaking, this is record. Let's face it, these sports are all arbitrary. They change the rules every year. They change the alignment every year. The rules are arbitrary. They change all the time. There's
the nihilist in Eli.
It's what we created. And so, but that narrative is so powerful enough the fiction that it's important is so powerful that everybody buys in as if it really matters in their lives.
But it does. It does matter. You know why it matters?
It's entertainment, right.
Well, it's also psychological. It makes people feel better. And when
There's
people
6
feel
layers
better,
of psychology I just learned.
When people feel better, they perform better.
It's like a taco dip.
People buy shirts. People buy merch. That's good for the economy. I mean, there is a real world.
And it joins them together to be a part of something, like you said earlier. It's a unifying, patriotic, loyalist force. Just like religion is, just like a church is, and all that.
We're fighting a holy war. I don't want people coming together for this kind of shit.
War. Look what happens in the stands at games. Well, you got people getting knocked out and killed at games. Yeah. You got people you got grown men in their 60s with their faces painted, wearing a Lion jersey on the road, standing up and screaming and banging in the end zone, banging on the wall, hoping to get on TV. So
I'm supposed to like this?
Hey, they do it in college football too.
You don't have to like
Well,
it.
they do it in football in
just
Europe,
accept
too.
it for what it is, because you're trying to pretend that it isn't big, and it is big. And, and just look at the reasons. As a reporter, look at the reasons why it is big, whether you care or not.
He's trying to pretend it doesn't matter.
I'm not pretending that it isn't big. I'm just saying we can have this conversation every single week. We only have the big
pissed at
game
Shawn.
once a year, so we don't have to talk about it.
Okay,
there's the real answer. He's pissed at Shawn.
Well, let's get back to the 42-7 game coming Saturday
They
night.
lose to Rutgers. They lose to Rutgers, and here's what, in horrific fashion, here's what ESPN summarizes the game the next day. We're going to quote, we're going to suggest to Michigan State that they just sit out the rest of the season and start fresh in 2024. Nothing good can come from continuing to play football this year. Just sit back, enjoy the Urban Meyer rumors, watch some basketball, and we can all pretend this year didn't happen when spring practice starts in March. And of course it's going to happen, and they're going to play the game. And if you have a heart, you're going to hope that it isn't 42-7, even though, and it's supposed to be rainy. It's supposed to be 84% chance of rain.
That might keep the score down if it's
That might
raining.
keep the score down, and you're going to see a lot of Blake Corum.
Didn't keep the score down in New Jersey. 29-27 is pissing down rain. But the Lions played the next day, so everything was okay.
So then, if you're so into this game, and I appreciate that, tell me, what has to happen for Michigan State to win the game?
We have to beat the shit out of everybody in the tunnel before the game. That's pretty much it. If we
You're
can,
actually asking him a football
if-
question.
I don't know, because he's a whole...
if we can concuss the Wolverines, we have a chance. No, I think this is a game. It's not nearly as important as the Lions are playing. Who are they playing on Sunday?
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Okay.
They're
Well,
at
so
Baltimore.
one Harbaugh may lose this weekend. That's great. It's one of these deals where, you know, I have a very few Michigan fans who are like, oh, well, you know, Michigan State does really well at night. They have a way of coming up with a trick play that always costs them the game. D'Antonio's back on the sideline. He's the Wolverine
All
killer.
of it true. All of it's true, though.
But truly, Michigan State, if they can escape this game with their dignity, I'll consider that to be a good day. Now, having said that, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see my Hail No T-shirt. But I didn't have the confidence to wear my Make Michigan Our Bitch Again T-shirt because I just don't think that's going to happen this year.
I don't think that's going to happen either. And I tell you, as a guy who went to school at Michigan, I've found the season particularly boring for them because the schedule in the Big Ten is, well, first of all, it isn't Michigan's fault or anybody's fault. There's only three and a half teams out of the 14, soon to be 18. So Michigan, I mean, you know, I'd like to see a competitive game, and Mark thinks I'm crazy, but sometimes I root for the other team to catch up, and let's have a fourth quarter that actually means something. I'm investing my time in this. Let me watch a competitive struggle here.
I'll take 52-7 every week.
Well, it would actually be better for Michigan if Michigan State hadn't given away all these games and came into it as a one-loss team, because the victory would be meaningful. They'd be a top 20 team, and you could actually play somebody where if you beat them, it looked like that was really an accomplishment. You're beating a successful team and a rival. Well, I mean, it's a moot point because the Spartans can't get out of their own way unless it's to run into each other.
But I mean, you're right. It would have been nice if they would have beaten like Washington, right, or somebody outside of the conference, but they didn't. And you can only play who's on your schedule.
No, but the thing is, with the exception of me, everybody in this state is on the Lions bandwagon. And to me, the pathetic thing about the state of Michigan is people were on the Lions bandwagon when the bandwagon should have been pushed over a cliff and the team should have been in the front seat.
You think that's pathetic?
Let the record show that he brought up the Lions this time.
I know.
Well, no, he's going to keep bringing
is,
them up because that's how he was. By the way, I got
is, again, Wayne Rooney.
Oh, Jesus.
I got a
very
text
successful
here.
in Derby County.
Eli, I saw a text from Mike yesterday.
They did lose some points because they had some financial problems, but Tom Brady is going to turn around Birmingham along with Wayne Rooney. He turned down a chance to coach in Saudi Arabia. He's staying in Birmingham. I think that's good news for English soccer, which to me is as relevant as the Detroit Lions. But the difference is
Stop
people
filibustering and let Shawn talk.
Eli,
people in this state are divided over these two teams. We all agree the Lions. This is like, hey, let's talk about something we all agree on. Yay! Jared Goff's wife, I'm excited about.
This is how
Lions, no interest.
This is what happened yesterday. Eli.
Maybe Aiden
I get a text
Hutchinson's
from Mike.
Shut up and let him talk.
I get a text from Mike, and
I just heard Dr. Phil going on for half an hour. I thought I might say something.
I'm sorry, man. Sorry to interrupt your show. I get a text from Mike yesterday, Eli.
Thanks for making it.
And I didn't get, I didn't receive until I landed. I was working my back from Tampa, and here's how it starts out. All I see is Eli Zaret will join us tomorrow, and I'm thinking, oh, great.
Yeah, we want to have somebody who knows about sports.
And I figured, oh, he's going to come in and talk about the Lions. I just assumed, because it's only the biggest fucking story in sports in a couple of generations what's going on.
All right, let me. I'm going to ask you.
And then I get to the second part. It says, "Oh, MSU, U of M," and I thought, "Oh, well, I got Media Michigan basketball day in the morning. I probably don't really need to get there to the podcast." I cut that short so I could come in here with you, so we could actually talk about the
another
Lions.
bad decision. The Lions are the biggest. No, the Bad Boys are a bigger story. The Tigers in '84 were a bigger story.
Come on, Mike, wait a minute.
The Red Wings were a bigger story.
They're not.
Hold on a second. I appreciate you being argumentative. It's made for a very spirited conversation, but you can't really believe what you're saying that the people in this town aren't legitimately excited because of everything, because of the NFL, because of the history, because of inflation, because of the war in all over the world. This is something that you can latch onto and feel a part. There's patriotism and loyalty and history and nostalgia and all that stuff. And we're human beings. We're the only species that creates fictions, and the fiction is that if they win the Super Bowl, it's going to make my life better, and maybe it will to a degree. So this is about hope and looking forward. There's 1,000 emotional issues and physical issues and historical issues why this is a legitimate big story, and he's a part of it. He's in the middle of it. He's going on the road and he's seeing this stuff. And I bet there's 1,000 reporters or people in the state that wish they could be writing for a major newspaper and following this team and talking to the players and seeing what they're like, enjoying the personalities and all and everything else that goes with it.
Juwan Howard had heart surgery, right? He's been out. So today, earlier today, was at the Chrysler Arena for Michigan basketball's media day.
Where is this going?
Their sports information director, Tom Wyrot, walks up to me, and I think, oh, he's going to talk about Howard, right? That's a pretty big deal within that program. You know what the first thing he said to me is?
What was it like?
How about those Lions? That's the first thing he said to me. Oh, never mind their coach who just had heart surgery. He wanted to talk about the Lions. It's unreal.
Because his basketball team sucks.
And nationally, everybody's thinking, what a nice story, because they really jumped on it from the beginning of the year. Hey, here's another team we can talk about. Here's another NFL storyline that we can build with and enjoy. Well, sure it is.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna immerse myself in the hype tank because I can't get excited about a team that's won 1 playoff games in 50 years.
That doesn't matter.
The Bad Boys fought epic battles against the Celtics, broke through, fought epic battles against the Lakers.
What's that got to do with today?
No, because Sean's saying the Lions are the biggest story here in 50 years.
Let me ask you
I can think of much bigger sports stories that I was excited about where there was a team that actually had, there was some drama. The Lions sucked. They got good. And now we're going to see how they do.
Let me ask you this. Did you find Leicester City when they won the premiership? Did you find that interesting, that story?
That was a fascinating story.
It's the same fucking thing.
Except
on a bigger scale.
On a much bigger scale.
And they also wear powder blue. That's the only thing they have in common.
No, it's just because you harbor some ill will towards this franchise for whatever reason.
No, I was interested in Leicester City.
Not just that, it's the history of the state.
From a distance.
It's millions of people leaving the state. It's over the course. It's that rise of manufacturing, the fall of manufacturing, and how the game is tied into all these pockets around the. There's so much going on here right now. This will dwarf. If they win the Super Bowl in the next few years, this will dwarf what the Wings did when they broke their 40-year drought.
Yeah.
Oh, and we can talk about that for another 10 weeks, but we'll talk about it now. Let's talk about some more.
What does Frank
I have
just
not
say?
gotten enough Lions
Frank
talk.
Say right there, Mark.
I have not gotten enough Lions talk.
Frank likes it. You guys.
It's just that we're a distraction with all the shit going on in the world.
None of us are jumping out of our seats as excited fans. Maybe Mark is to a degree.
Sean is. I haven't seen this excited since he brought donuts in.
No, he's talking about covering the story and what he sees in the story. To a reporter, it's all about the story. And where is the story? And how do I find it? And what are the good elements of it? That's what he's talking about. He's not jumping up and, they were going to win a Super Bowl. No, he's following it week after week with the story of what it is.
ML, what's the story with Michigan State, Michigan? What's the story, ML? You're the reporter.
There's no story.
There is no story.
no story.
Well, there's stories.
We'll talk about the Lions. Let's get back to the Lions.
Let's hear your story.
No, let's get back to the Lions.
Well, let's hear your story.
Because we're not going to talk about it. I mean, we had a whole show where we talked about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, who aren't even Detroit Lions or Detroit Lion fans. I mean,
What does that have to do with anything?
no, I'm just saying that what we're doing is talk about NFL football all the time. Whatever excuse we can
let's
have.
not talk about what people care about.
Well, it's not a sports podcast.
2 billion Chinese and Indians
No, it's
do
a
not
mis-
care at all about this game.
Except
they
that
don't
their
care. It
children
means-
are making all the jerseys.
It means zero.
Okay, that
And all
was
the
funny.
and all the merchandise will
funny.
sell if they
Yeah.
win the Super Bowl.
Let me tell you a little story. So, 50 years ago, before the NFL really got big,
This is back when Michigan State were playing.
no, this is 1970 when Monday Night Football began, and so suddenly football, which was only played on Sundays and only played on Sunday, suddenly there's going to be a game on Monday. And I'm listening to this national psychologist. Her name is Joyce Brothers, and she says, "Ladies,
Doctor
Joyce." She's talking to the women. Ladies, you have to understand what your husbands go through with this. That every year this game is big and that game is bigger, and then it's going to be at the end. And these are the big games. And then you know what? When it's all over and they lose or whatever, it starts all over again the next year. So just sit back and accept it. Your husbands are all caught up in this, and even though it doesn't really matter, and the same thing repeats every year. But the fact is, it is a story. He's covering it. The city is involved. There's history and all that. And so you may not like it. You may think it's boring. You may rather watch the Detroit FC DC, whatever the soccer team
Or a
is.
quarterback struggle to throw a 15-yard out.
Right. Or a game where one team is a
Which
20
one?
where your team is a 24-point underdog and you anticipate them losing. It really isn't as big a story overall, at least this year, as it is as the Lions are.
No, and that's good. And I just want to toss ahead to next week's show, Lions Talk, here on the Soul of Detroit, because
You act
apparently
like
it's
we
the
talk
biggest
about
thing
them
ever.
all the time.
We never talk about it.
Shawn was
Every time you come in here, you want to peddle some Lions shit, and then you do it on your podcast.
Mark,
You're writing about it every
Mark,
day.
That is not true, and you know that.
Well,
Fox.
I mean, you and I talk about it.
yeah,
off the air.
before we start recording.
You never get here before we record.
Now, even if the game's
You want
the
to talk
Li-
about British TV? Oh, did you see the one show where the nuns solve some crimes?
And
How
you
about them
love-
Lions?
And you love that.
He
Yes,
does
he
love
the
that. By
nuns
the
who
way,
solve crimes.
Eli, I want to tell you, Saturday afternoon when I landed in Tampa, we taxi, we get to the gate.
This
the
is
flight,
fascinating.
No, the flight attendant
Did you
comes
have some
on.
peanuts?
Let him finish. Come on, man.
The flight
I know it's
attendant-
building up. Give me a break.
I'm getting the travel log.
Jesus.
Did
Go
you
ahead.
did you check your bags or get them at the carousel?
We had to establish the fact that we were in Tampa and I'm on a plane and we get
Right.
to the gate. The flight attendant comes on the usual spiel, get your stuff, you get off. And then she finishes it by saying, and by the way, let's go Lions. The plane erupts into the loudest applause I've ever heard on a plane in my life. I'm like, what is going on here? I've been traveling with this team for 15 years, and I've never heard a plane like that. That was crazy.
So here's what's interesting. What if they they're going to go to Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
What if they lose? What if they get blown out or they lose on a field goal at the end?
Fire Dan Campbell.
How will that change? How will that change the narrative? Will people now say, well, you know what? That's just one. We're really a good team. Or will the same old Lions come in? I don't think so.
Both. We might have a little bit of the SOL.
No, you know what it'll be? Well, yeah, but that's from idiots that always do that. It'll be
or
they
podcast
better,
hosts.
They'll say they better win on Monday night against the Raiders. That'll be the response.
So I just want to check in with this because I'm conceding, but
Conceding?
if I understand what Shawn's been saying for the last hour, people like the Lions. We got like 15 different anecdotes about how
except
much
for-
people like the
People are
Lions.
Except
they're
for one.
engaged.
They like
They're
him. Okay,
engaged.
okay,
They're
I got it
engaged.
now. I
Except
get
for
it.
one.
I understand now. I get it. Okay.
Except for Larry Clark, though, appreciates it. Go, ML, give Shawn shit.
Are you just mad because
I'm going to get on a plane. I'm going to say, Shawn's on the plane. Everybody's going, yay! And then we're going to put our mask on, and then we're going to have some peanuts, and then we're going to go.
No, you keep going up and watching your guys who don't get paid.
No, they do get paid. Not enough. Otherwise, we'd still have a quarterback
are
and a
you
wide
trying to
receiver.
piss them off more?
No. I understand. Shawn has told me 25 different ways that the Lions are popular.
Pay money
I
for a
get it.
ticket and watch players
I get it.
that don't get paid. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm someone that's criticized for being redundant and hitting the same point over and over again. I'll just tell you that perhaps that is not just a trait that's unique to me. The Lions are very popular and people like them.
I did read your column.
Message
It was really good.
received.
I think part of the problem, ML, is that because of Michigan State's lackluster performance this year, there isn't as much interest in this game as there has been in the past.
I don't even care about the game myself now. I've given up. It's over.
Oh,
well, there you go.
I'm just trying to live till Sunday.
Spoken like a true Spartan.
Are you going to tailgate? How about, let's talk about something
Are
interesting.
you kidding? Spartans keep fighting. We keep fighting after the game, and you guys cry about it.
Are you going to
with your unlicensed guns?
Are you going to tailgate? Let's talk about something interesting. You going to tailgate?
No, I'm saving my strength for
You going to drink?
You are going to go, though, right?
You going to cook?
Oh, yeah, I'm going. Eli, you're invited to our tailgate.
What you going to eat?
Shawn will be on a plane where a stewardess will be talking to him, and people will be yelling.
I think the preferred nomenclature, dude, is flight attendant.
I think you said stewardess earlier, but or what'd you say? Waitress in the sky?
But go ahead. Keep using
Big Replacements fan, are you?
Keep using Chinaman.
What?
You know the Big Lebowski.
Canceled.
Oh, yes.
No, canceled. No, too late.
I think the
Cancel
preferred.
Shawn.
I think the preferred
Cancel Shawn.
nomenclature is Asian American.
Sean's out. That's
Better with the context.
Yeah, sorry.
What do you expect the crowd to be like on Saturday?
Wet.
No, do you expect it to be? You expect there to be a lot of Wolverines up there?
I think there's going to be a lot of Lions fans cheering.
All right, fine. Now you're just
maybe Taylor Swift will be there.
Of course,
now you're being a pouty baby.
Of course, they're Lions fans.
Oh, there's Lions fans. It's the one thing
Right,
that brings
Eli?
us together.
I try to bring it back to what you want to talk about, and then you get all mad.
That and the March of Dimes. We all want to save babies and watch the Lions.
I don't know what to say at this
Good
point.
job, Shawn. You ruined the show.
Shawn
today.
has not endorsed the saving babies? Sorry, okay.
Well, the feedback we're
Yes,
racist.
Larry, bring it.
Racist, Shawn. No, that's a famous
as if-
John Goodman line.
I know it. Yeah.
John Goodman.
He used the
from Lebowski.
parallels that he said stewardess.
I'm not familiar with that movie.
Right, the parallels that Mike said stewardess, and I think we dropped that 20 years ago. But yeah,
I'm not sure.
you want to talk about flight attendants? Eli?
I don't know where to go.
Why are you so mad?
You know what? Let's talk about it. People want the Lions. We'll talk about the Lions. I find the Lions boring.
Listen,
I'm waiting for them to do something.
Talk about your tailgate and the charity money.
I'll admit, I always thought it was kind of pathetic how, as bad as the Lions were, and how classically a bad owner William Clay Ford was, even though he was a nice man, but just wasn't either smart enough, engaged enough, or capable enough to really lead that team. And I used to look at Lion fans as, where's your loyalty coming from? How do you maintain this excitement every year? Why are the stadiums sold out and you're still losing all the time? So that same fan base is now it's grown immeasurably to just encompass the whole city, because the excitement spills over and so everybody is into it right now. Yeah. The whole state. But
it's an epidemic.
I'm just curious as to how. I am curious to see the game.
Well,
I'm curious to see whether Michigan indeed blows them out. I'm curious to see whether the Spartans, like your fellow Spartans, are going to be all pumped up when the game starts. It's going to be the band and the cheering and the excitement, and the team's going to come out in the field. How long will it last? Will they score first like Indiana did against Michigan? So it's interesting to see, no matter what the result is. But I'm not caught up as a fan necessarily, because I think pardon me, I can't talk.
Was that a sarcastic cough?
No,
like when you said
no, it's real.
like when you said they're going to score first. Here's my question: will the stadium be full?
Yeah, it's a night game. It will be full in the start.
Unless it's torrential rain, 84% chance of rain.
Sure. But I think it'll be full in the beginning. I'm kind of interested in the makeup of what the crowd's going to be.
What's
ML's
interesting,
already checked out of the
here we are at Tuesday, and normally in Michigan, a good Michigan State week, football week, at least at the Free Press, we've already had several preview columns, beat stories, all that sort of stuff. The news desk has gotten involved, and they're writing stories about the rivalry game coming up, and I'll be curious to see if we do any of that at all.
So if Michigan State were to pull this upset, the guy sitting across from me will be
unbearable.
His reaction will be akin to a Lions fan if they win the Super Bowl. Maybe then you'd understand.
Will you be able to come in and do the podcast with him if they beat your
It's unbearable
Wolverines?
every week.
This episode I meant to mention earlier is brought to you by Luke Nowacki and Pinnacle Wealth Strategies and the Caju Cafe, the pride of the East Side, where it's always a great time for great music and good food and all of those. And feather bowling. It's great. It's like the Big Lebowski, only it's with wooden wheels, and they don't have any races there.
Did you?
Why do you, by the way, enjoy or participate in Michigan State excitement and fandom, but you discount it for the Lions. Isn't it the same thing? You're excited about your team. You went to school there. You have an emotional connection. Why is it understandable to be wildly enthusiastic about your school, but you seem to wonder why people are wildly enthusiastic about the Lions?
You called them pathetic, actually. That was a quote.
Yeah, I may have cut myself off. I meant to say pathetic losers. But because, and I've said this before on this show, and this is why I'm concerned about where college football is going, is I made an affirmative decision to go to Michigan State. I chose Michigan State for whatever reason, and there were a lot of reasons. The Lions are here.
Were they all
didn't
affirmative?
choose the Lions. I don't feel like I'm a part of the Lions. And if the Lions were something where, maybe if I played football, it'd be different. I love the Tigers because I play baseball. I love the Red Wings because I play hockey. I'm a terrible basketball player, but when the Pistons have a good team and they have something going on, I like them. And they've also been successful, and they've done things the right way, and they've won. And so there's reasons that I support them. But for me,
You're right,
the reason why it's important to support Michigan State, it's part of who I am. It's something that I can interact with, friendly rivalries with people at Michigan, people at Central. When all the Chippewas came to East Lansing, they practically took over East Lansing. They were friends, they were neighbors, their kids went there, they went there. It was something to talk about. And that's why I'm worried about college football becoming strictly driven by NIL and money, because people are not going to come to Michigan State.
Guess what? It
because
already
they
is.
want to be
It already
Spartans.
is.
I know,
been.
and I hate that. If it becomes NFL, then I'm going to be a women's soccer fan.
They change the alignment. They pay the players. They're not really student athletes. They change the conferences. The Big Ten is going to be the Big 18. The Pac is going to be the Pac-2. No matter what they do, no matter how they change it, no matter how underhanded it can be with the rules or with cheating or with recruiting violations, you love it because it's your school logo and there's no greater loyalty in the world. So no matter what college football does, no matter how many millions the coaches get or whatever happens to Mel Tucker, you still love the game because it's in your blood. And that's what's happening with the Lions. Yes, the Lions logo isn't as powerful as the block M or the Spartan, but it's deep within people and their culture and their family. And so a lot enters into this irrational joy. It's irrational.
no,
That's
but
why they call them fanatics.
I'll say this
for
about-
some people,
people-
irrational attachment. It is.
Yeah, for some
it's real.
people, if you're working on the line and you didn't go to college, the Lions are your university. That's where you come together. You come together at the games. You have that tailgate experience, which is the same experience we have going back to our alma mater. It's something that brings people together. And I understand that if you work all day, 5 days a week, maybe 6 days a week, and it's hard labor, and you break your back to provide for your family, and Sunday comes around.
You can't afford to
and
go to the
that is-
game.
that-
Yes.
Right. That is your one thing that you can look forward to and sit down for
but
4
those-
hours and
but
relax.
that's
I
fandom.
understand that, but when the team sucks, find something else. And all these Lion fans, I remember back when you were on the air, Eli, there were all these surveys like, oh, the Dallas Cowboys are the most popular team in Detroit. Oh, we have all these Chicago Bear fans where they do all these studies and these surveys because the Lions were so bad. Detroiters would pick other NFL teams to follow because they
Right.
were
But-
successful. But now they're on the back. I don't like
Well,
people
that-
who
that
only
kinda
go
ruins
for
it.
They didn't
things.
leave
But
the-
I don't like trendy mother
they-
They've
scratch.
always loved the Lions, right, Eli?
That's not true.
lo-
The gene,
not true.
the gene was still there.
Of course it was.
in them.
That's
It was
a little
still
too
in the
nuanced from
DNA.
Mike, but of course it was.
But of course, you're not going to get excited when your team is 0-16. But the proof of its power is how the worst sentiment in sports is apathy. When the Pistons lose 23 of the last 24 games to try and get a draft choice, the fans are apathetic for good reason because we don't care. But football, and the same with the Tigers and the Wings, when they're no good, the apathy sets in. In football, though, the apathy either turns into anger or something else because it just runs deeper inside.
Here
I-
it does. That's not true in every market.
I just
Said
wanna
there's
point out-
17 games.
I just want to
Mark,
point out
Pistons have
ML's.
80.
Can I
Red Wings
point
have
out
80.
Can I point out
Yes,
ML's
please.
contradiction to where you say you chose the school and you grew up here?
You don't-
and so you don't choose the Lions, but then you just said that people choose to root for other NFL teams. So which one is it?
No, what I'm saying is I understand why people root for the Lions because that's their tribe, that's their university, that's whatever you want to call it, that's their religion.
You're talking about like
But
you're
what-
not
no,
a part of
let me
this
answer
community.
the man's question.
Earlier,
Let me answer the man's question. But what I'm
earlier
saying is
earlier you inferred that it was
Trying to
because
answer.
you just grow up here, so you're a Lions fan.
That's true.
no.
True?
No, I'm
Loyalty,
saying
hometown,
I'm
our
saying
guys. even though they're not.
I grew up here. The Lions are here. I don't have to pick them because they were here and I was here. We both we converged on the same geographic
You don't have a choice.
point. Yeah, I had a choice about where I was going to go to college.
Yeah, but
and
then
I made an affirmative choice.
Then you just said other people here started rooting for other teams.
Right,
so
and that's what I'm saying.
choice.
That's why I don't get in the Lions thing. Yes, everybody loves the Lions, but when the Lions were bad, they loved other people. I've always loved the Spartans. They're going to get massacred on Saturday, and I'm going to throw a fucking party, and I'm going to be there till the last play because sometimes they have trouble with the snap, but I'm going to be there through thick and thin, rain, ice, no matter what, because those are my guys, and I'm going to be there through thick and thin. I think the Lions fans, they come and go. Yeah, there's some hardcore people there, but they come and go.
What are you talking about? They've been
just
so bad.
So do the Lions.
Oh
I don't
my
know.
God,
I don't know how else
Eli, would you help him out with reality here, please? Ford Field has been filling up.
We're all talking. We're talking about the same thing.
Since it opened up, no
Shawn,
matter how
I
bad
know
they
that.
were.
That's 60,000 people. I'm telling you, there are a lot of people who are Lions fans now that 20 years ago were cheering for Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin.
Yeah, because they wanted something to, but that didn't mean they didn't love the Lions.
Right. It was just they were frustrated and angry.
They didn't stop loving the Lions.
I'm not cheering for USC because Michigan State's having a bad season. How about that? You know, I'm not changing who I'm cheering for because the team I love sucks.
But a lot of people that didn't go to school there that might root for Michigan or Michigan State would do the same thing if they were
I guarantee you, if Michigan State football were bad for 20 straight years, I guarantee you alums would find some college, if they loved college football, they'd find some team to root for. They would. It's just human nature.
Or they would just root against Michigan.
Yeah, well, they're always going to do that.
The team would change every week.
Oh, they're always going to do that for sure. And by the way, when they do struggle a little bit, that stadium, that fan base, it's not a great football fan base.
Well, I'm sorry, which is
the Spartans?
Michigan had some issues in 2009.
They did.
I mean,
they did.
There wasn't a wait list anymore. No, I know.
It's college. It's not the same. It doesn't go as deep as the NFL. It just doesn't. As your city. Mike's talking about starting a love affair at 18. I'm talking about people that still have a love affair when they're 2.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a big difference.
Equate it to your wife, okay?
I think people shouldn't be having love affairs when they're 2, but if you're into that kind of thing.
You're married, you love your wife.
So a racist pedophile now? What's going on over there?
Let him talk.
But she pisses you off. And you say, and you stomp out of the house and say, and this is bullshit. You've got to, I can't take this anymore. But you come back, you make up, and the fact that you love her is still there, but you get angry. So it's the same thing with a fan base. They get angry, they get frustrated, they don't want to go through it again. I'm sure a lot of Spartans are turning away right now. I wouldn't blame them.
Take a look at the ticket market.
Right, but that doesn't mean that they care less. They're just hurt.
That's true.
They're disappointed. So they turn away, but it's still there within them. And as soon as they're good, boom, they're back. And so, the NFL, think of the NFL. The Lions have been around since 1934. Grandparents, grandfathers, fathers, uncles, they all got together and watched games. They got frustrated together, but they were still together. So it's in there. And now that they finally, after 65 years, look like they might actually do something spectacular, it's an amazing story. That's all he's saying. That's all he's saying.
I know. It's all he says every week, and he's been saying it for an hour. I'm in. It's an amazing story.
I don't
Stipulated.
say it every week. What's the latest message here?
I see what's on the Carlson Shawn podcast. You guys talk about the Lions every week.
Here's the
talk about it every week.
No, but I don't do it in this podcast. But that's okay. You can go ahead and misremember intentionally for
Thanks for dragging us down.
Your own weird agenda. Here's the latest message. Growing up in Detroit, our heads say, "Forget the Lions." Our hearts say, "Lions forever!" Exclamation point 3 times XO. And that's that simple.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I've given you my opinion. Everybody here loves the Lions.
You'd make a great sociologist.
That's great. That's great. I'm very happy.
What's the line on Sunday, by the way? Are the Ravens favored in this game?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Is Lamar Jackson still playing for the Ravens?
It's a great game.
Is Michigan favored Saturday night?
Only by 24. So yeah, well, I tell you, what's fascinating. My favorite player, one of them in the league, is Justin Tucker. Yeah, the guy's the greatest field goal kicker of all time. Have you seen some of the features on him? He's an opera singer. Incredible.
He broke the Lions' heart a few years ago.
Right? Was it a 65?
Something like that. Yeah.
Lions are getting 3.
They're getting 3. Okay, so the Lions go underdogs into Baltimore. You cover that game, they win in Baltimore with all those fans there. It's gonna take it up another notch.
I'll be at Michigan State.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
How come they're
Did
taking
you
him
hear
off
the
the beat?
disappointment in his voice there?
Well, because you've gotten the.
I think it's shock.
No, we move it around. You know, I have to go everywhere, right? So, as a columnist, you got to write about everything. And this is when we planned out the season to start the season. We thought this would probably be a little bit better game. We thought Michigan State might be a 6-7 win team.
Yeah.
See
Maybe even an 8-win team if they got lucky and they got the right quarterback in there.
Here's your column.
That's right. They still had Mel Tucker at the time.
Yeah, no, we planned all this out back in late July, early August.
I got a column for you, mainly because it will drive ML nuts. Go up there and then find how many Lions fans you can find in the crowd.
Oh, everybody. The whole crowd will be Lions. Michigan and Michigan State, right?
Once again, Michigan State gets the B team.
So what are your thoughts about the administration at Michigan State, the decisions that were made, the hiring of Tucker, which seemed like an outrageous reach? I mean, he was 7-12 going into that season. Why would they give a guy that much money? What are your thoughts about the administration that allowed this to happen? Ishbia stepping up and throwing all this money at it. Are you disillusioned? Do you expect it to turn around? Are you disappointed? Are you outraged? What are your thoughts?
Yes. All those things. Yeah.
Oh,
no, I don't want to get us on another one of our rabbit holes, but I've said from the beginning, and I've written ad nauseum in the Free Press. Actually, nauseum is kind of what Shawn and I write a lot.
You write beautifully in the Free Press.
The administration is a disgrace. The Board of Trustees is a disaster. When Mel Tucker was offered all that money, I thought it was outrageous. I was concerned that it was going to once again put more money into a sport and into a profession where there's too much money already. That Mel Tucker, I don't want the payers to be compensated beyond what they're already compensated. When you pay the coach that much, I think there's no way you can't pay the players. I thought I was hopeful for Mel Tucker, but he beat Michigan twice, right? So I guess that's worth $9.5 million a year. And I've also been incredibly critical that the university took this money from these guys, fought us when we tried to find out what the contract looked like. The Free Press won that lawsuit. Then we find out they didn't give us as much money as we thought they did, and that they wanted to be able to spend it the way they wanted to be able to spend it when they're just a couple of rich assholes who shouldn't be able to tell a public institution how to do its business. So I was encouraged when they brought Mel. I was worried that they hired him in a rush because it seemed to be a panic hire. I liked some of the things he was saying. I had great hope for him. I thought a lot of the criticism of him was unwarranted, and I think some of it had some foundation in racism. But his hiring, his remuneration, and the way they've handled every aspect of this has been a disaster. And I've written about that, and I've talked about it on this show. And I think when we look back on the Mel Tucker era, it's going to be the Muddy Waters era. It's going to be the John L. Smith era. It's going to be Bobby Smith with lotion.
Very interesting. Thank you for that. Now, tomorrow when we talk to Jared Wangler, what I'm fascinated in is because he runs the Victor's Valiant NIL thing. What is really happening with it? You got Kirby. Who was it?
And he's raised concerns about it too. He said there are some people who are doing it in a way that's unscrupulous,
right,
and is basically, I would say, in a violation of NCAA rules. But it doesn't seem like there are any NCAA. Right. Bill Self is getting no punishment in Kansas for paying players to have lunch with.
That was the NCAA's fault with how they handled that.
Sorry,
and I wonder. There's so many questions I have. How many players are actually making money? Are the defensive linemen making any money? How is it spread out? Do you have to go through the Valiant corporation that Jared runs, or can you just any sponsor come and hire a kid to do something? So it's so murky, and it's fascinating to me. And where's it going to go? How are they going to regulate it? Is it possible to regulate it? What happens when the Kentucky coach says that they're buying appeals to the public and say, look, we got beat 51-13 by Georgia. We need some more NIL money. Step up and feed the collective. So how does the collective work, and how do they distribute the money? And it's fascinating. And do all the players make it, or some of the players make it?
This podcast sponsored an athlete. We gave a woman who rode at Michigan State $100 a month and meat. And that's all we had to do is we had to tell this is what we're going to give her. She registered on the portal.
They have an app.
And that was it.
It's all app-based.
It was that easy.
Which is ludicrous.
Yeah. Is that a Spartan shirt you're wearing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
you already talked about it.
So-
I can't see it.
yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm an auto dealer, do I have to go to the collective and say, offer me what players you have? Or
You
I
go
want
to the
this
athlete,
player?
I think.
Or you can just go right to the athlete.
Either
the
or.
athletes have agents that can help
Or
negotiate the
Jared.
deals.
I think you could go to Jared, but I think you can go
So-
directly to the athlete. I mean, we don't know. That's
We don't
the
know.
problem.
Right, it's
So some of
fascinating.
them are.
It's the wild, wild west.
Some of them have the blessing from the university, whatever that means, right? Spartan Dogs for Life. Remember we talked about that. That
Sons
was,
of bitches.
That was a T-shirt company technically, but that was the one that worked with the union, and they sponsored the university, and the university, because they're not supposed to be involved. Wink, wink. So they will direct people that have money to one of these collectives. The interesting thing to me is some of them are charitable deductions, some of them aren't. And it is the way.
So
you
when
talk
Saban
about the
says-
auto dealer, right? There was an auto dealer in Utah that said, we're going to give every player a 6-month lease for a truck. You know, $6.5 million is what they did, and they went through their own collective. They made their own collective.
But this Kentucky coach, whose name escapes me right now.
Stoops, Mark Stoops, right?
Mark
Yeah.
Stoops. He says the other schools are buying players, and they're allowed to. So how does that work? Does somebody call the athletic department?
Well, why
and
doesn't
say,
he
how do I
walk
get
down to the basketball office of Kentucky and ask them? Because they do the same thing for their players.
Yeah, Saban complained about Jimbo Fisher doing that. Basically, that's
And
why
then backed
I
off
root against
immediately,
Texas
Which was
A&M
funny.
every week.
That's pretty rich, wasn't it?
Very
I want to see them lose because they have the best team money can buy, and they're not the best team.
Who?
Texas A&M.
Oh.
You mean like the New York Mets, $353 million to finish under 500?
Or the Jets or any team in New York because money's no object, so they can
Jets
spend
won.
it. Or the Rangers. The
The
Rangers.
Jets did win, plus there's a
Jets
salary
terrible.
cap. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
Just go spend what you want.
The NFL is a far more legitimate, democratic, capitalistic league, even though it's social.
Yeah, because they have a cap and they share revenue.
Totally
It's very
social. It's
socialistic.
totally socialistic.
Well,
You're right.
that's why I'm worried about college football because it's headed in the wrong direction.
Why?
And
That's
there's
free market-
no-
free
Towards
market
capitalism and democracy?
There's,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no, but
That's really a bad direction.
here we go again. We've talked about this on the show. We have free market and we have capitalism in America, but we also have the Securities and Exchange Commission that makes sure that there aren't mergers that
We
aren't
have
in the
the-
best
we have the
interest of the
NCAA.
people, and they're the toothless dogs.
Well, we have the Big Ten. They can make their own rules.
But in America we have institutions that oversee the free market to make sure that it doesn't get out of control. We
Kind
don't
of.
have that in college sports.
In theory.
Absolutely.
Well, we're a lot
Except for
closer to
fans-
having it in the U.S.
Except
than we
for
are in
fans who
college sports.
donate and right, they're the ones that really control things, or fans that go up and tailgate, and they have a say so too, right?
No, that we don't. We don't anymore because
You do because if you stop tailgating, then there's a certain power in that.
everybody at my tailgate, if we all put $1,000 in the pot, it wouldn't be worth a rounding error for Matt Ishbia or whatever his name, Andre St. Douchebag, who
If
said
you
he was going to
stop
give these
tailgating-
players money and then took it away.
If you stop tailgating, right? There's power in that.
Why did they think
So, okay, let's come full circle, which is why I hate Lions fans because they shouldn't keep going to the games because the team sucks. But they keep doing it, so that undermines your argument. They keep supporting a terrible product. I don't believe in rewarding bad behavior. If Michigan State hired Urban Meyer, I would maintain my season tickets, but I probably wouldn't go to the games because I don't
Bullshit.
want to support that.
If he won 7 in a row against Michigan,
It's about more than that.
ML Lennon.
is it though? Really?
Look at the comment.
It's
ML
actually
Lennon.
M. Lennon. That's what the L's for. Thanks, Larry. Larry, you were with me for a while. Now you've gone off.
Well, maybe he agrees with you.
So Eli actually has something worthwhile to do today, so we have to let him go soon. But before he goes, I want to get his take on our Geek of the Week.
Oh, I thought you were going to ask him about Michigan State. Sorry.
I was gonna, but then some dude came in late and just want to talk about he took a plane somewhere or something.
Dude came in.
He's with the Wright brothers or something.
Man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
He hijacked the show just like somebody should have hijacked that plane.
Turning into geeks, or we're turning into cool guys.
So occasionally on Geek of the Week, we open up a question to the collective here for the collective wisdom, which I thought would be a good idea until I realized how little wisdom there was here today. But we're going to do it anyways. So I would like, and we're going to start with Eli.
I love cheap shot artists. You're one of the
he's
best.
the king of them.
Watch your kidneys.
Back in.
My God.
The tunnel of love, that's what we call it.
That's the question.
So here we go. And we're going to start with Eli. I want your take on this. This is good advice. And as a father, I think you can help with this. I've been in a relationship for the past 8 months with a guy. 2 months in, he lost his job and moved in with me and my daughter. I took care of him and helped him to get a much better job. I wake up before him, pack his lunches, do his laundry, and cook and clean up after him. He had a very bad drinking problem that would cause him to black out and act very badly. I also found out that he was connecting with other women the entire time. Eventually, he cut out all the hard alcohol. We would do well for a little while, but then he'd start drinking again and would verbally abuse me and leave me crying. Afterward, I would explain how this was not okay. We broke up about a week ago because he put his hands on me. I asked him to leave, and he did. I started to feel so much better, but of course, I missed him like crazy. My girlfriends took me out, and I met a lawyer. Very respectful, very kind, and he seems like a gentleman. He asked me out for coffee. Then my ex sent me a long message begging me to take him back. We talked on the phone for hours about how what he did was wrong and how his life was so much worse without me.
Oh, God.
I truly did love him.
Yeah, because she did everything for him.
Although he treated me badly, we had a lot of good times. I don't know what to do. What would you do? Is this a hard call here?
Just put a bullet through your head and end it because you're hopeless.
What about put a bullet through his head?
God, yeah, this is great.
Yep.
What I'm fascinated by is,
oh, by the way,
how does
it's signed Detroit Lions fan.
How does a drunk without a job not only move in with a woman who takes care, but he's screwing other people on the side? Yeah. How does he do? I want to hear from him.
And he's raised his hand to her.
He must be hot.
What is his secret? My goodness, he must be incredibly good looking.
Or comfort, right? She knows a certain kind of comfort.
Where's this from?
What?
Where's this from?
I made it up. What does it matter? It's somebody in need. Are you going to deny them your wisdom just because you don't know their origin?
No, I was just get confused by the Geek of the Week music. I guess this guy's the Geek of the Week?
There was a little preamble there where we talked about sometimes we do this. We're trying to determine, who we're going to help
Shawn hates
here.
everything today.
No.
He loves the Lions, apparently. And
obviously she has a Mother Teresa complex.
Frequent flyer miles.
She does have a Mother Teresa complex, yeah. Block his number, move on. Go nail that lawyer.
So to accommodate Shawn, because that's what this is all about, who's the geek, this guy or the woman?
Oh,
I don't know.
Well, they're both idiots, obviously.
Cyrus!
But she's the geek. She's self-destructive. She seeks relationships that will only cause her pain and problems.
And he's a loser.
Right. So they're both reprehensible, but...
Irreprehensible might be maybe a touch harsh for her, but for him, sure. I mean, if he's hitting her right, then he belongs in jail.
I would have thought
that's what I would say.
Yeah. Any one of the many things he's doing would qualify for expulsion, maybe through a window.
She should really
over
call
a balcony rail.
She should call Dr. Laura, and she'll get to the bottom. You know who Dr. Laura is?
Yes. I do know Dr. Laura.
And she these women call who are getting abusive relationships. They think they can change men.
Nasty, isn't she?
They marry them too soon.
Love.
They become drunks and cheaters, and they'll find, well, how long did you know him? 3 weeks or whatever. So just women that put themselves in situations where it's doomed, and they do it anyway. So it's very sad, very sad.
And usually from some kind of something in their childhood, low self-esteem, and all sorts of stuff. There's stuff that could be happening that leads to those kind of situations. I sort of point the finger at the person doing the abuse, which would be him. So fuck him.
So Shawn, he's your geek, the bad boyfriend.
Yeah, why not?
Eli says the woman's a geek, but the guy's a geek too.
Mark, what does Mark say?
He keeps abusing you. ML keeps abusing you, Shawn. Somehow you keep coming back.
I know.
So I don't know.
I know. And he doesn't like it when somebody else talks on the show.
No, I like it when you finally talk on the show, but you keep saying the same things over and over. The Lions.
Is Eli still here? I haven't been talking a while.
I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, Eli's like,
I hope you had
fascinating
fun.
discussion.
I hope you had fun today, Eli.
Thank you, Eli.
Okay, good. That's really the main
It's always
thing.
good seeing you.
We try to have fun. Mark and I try to have fun.
Eli, I'll see you tomorrow.
See you again.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
I think we finally have something here in room 7609 that Shawn will like. It's the Detroit Lions. No, okay.
I know he's too busy yapping with Eli about the
I know.
Lions.
It's just like, so did I mention I was at a Lions game the other day and people really were happy? I saw a lot of blue there. Before we get to room 7609, we need to tell you about somebody who will make your future as successful as our Detroit Lions, if that's even possible.
All right, quiet down over there, you two. Quiet. Are you done talking about the Lions?
Oh, sorry. Oh, room 7609.
No. We need. I don't even have your mic done. No, we need to talk about Luke Nowacki. He can make you some money there, Shawn. So if you have money and you need to invest it, why don't you give Luke Nowacki a call? 248-663-4748. He's a financial guy. He will look at what you have and where you want to be and find you the way to get there. Luke Nowacki, can't say enough good things about this guy. 248-663-4748.
Because when you call Luke, he will get a playoff victory for you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. member FINRA SIPC.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent.
Mosaic Wealth.
Inc.
So before we get to our song, we also have to tell you about the Caju Cafe, which sponsors Room 7609, because music is really what they do as well as anything else. I was going to say best, but they also have great food and great fun. Feather bowling, lots of great recreational activities there. Live music inside, live music outside. The kitchen is open late. Muscle Madness on Monday. All you can eat mussels, when they also have Blue Mondays, which is a blues jam. This week, lots of great bands coming out. You can check them out. Get the full playlist at cajucafe.com. We will have a link to their website on our website, which is mlsolvedetroit.com. This week's Room 7609 is yet another installment in our new wave songs that were used as themes in music. And this one this is a twofer because it's also a new wave song that was used in the theme for a movie about BMX bikes.
Cool.
And this movie starred Nicole Kidman.
So not two songs.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, good. Just checking.
I thought it was going to be Gridiron Heroes.
A Lions victory! First down, bitch! This movie starred Nicole Kidman. And I will just tell you, at the time Nicole Kidman starred in this movie.
Don't say it.
Mark, you saw the saw the preview, right? Did you recognize Nicole Kidman?
I did not recognize her. She looks very different. Pre-Scientology.
She had the 80s hair and everything. So, yeah, before the magic touch of Tom Cruise touched our lovely Nicole, she just looked like yet another wayward youth waiting for somebody on a screwy bike to do some crazy stuff out there. So check out the trailer. But this is The Papers with the theme song to a BMX movie that is so forgettable I've already forgotten it. But Mark
BMX
knows.
Bandits.
BMX Bandits. This is The Papers with I'm Ready to Fly.
the weirdest video.
It's quite a big finish there. Did you ever get into BMX, Mark?
Well, yeah. I mean, when that movie was out, it was 83, so I would have been, I guess, 7 years old.
So, do you know what any of these lyrics mean? I'm ready to fly down the grid. Competition's tight. I've got to win. Don't fool
talking about
with
a good
me,
old BMX race.
Because I'll drag you
on the
down.
Track.
You'll do the pancake and I'll bunny hop around.
I don't know what that is. Those must be tricks you can do on the bike.
Yeah, where you can take the handlebars and kind of hop it. Hop. You've seen people do that.
Yes.
I was more of a Quicksilver person. I wanted to be a messenger in New York and on
of course you did.
A regular bike
with a big satchel.
Yeah, exactly.
I wondered why I'd never heard of this movie. It's an Australian film. Apparently in the U.S. it was released and it was called Shortwave. Maybe because, I don't know, they didn't have the rights from BMX. But Kidman looks ridiculous in it.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad perm, but I've tried to do some research on who the papers are. All I found is a listing that says Australian new wave synth pop band famous for their song "Ready to Fly."
Yeah, that's a terrible song too.
I think famous is probably overstating it, but yeah, no. Watch me do the kangaroo hop, kicking out on the tabletops. Diamondback minis and Super Goose too. I've got my mongoose and my chick thinks it's
mongoose.
It's cool.
By the way, during the film, Kidman hurt her ankle, and they couldn't find a female stunt double, so all the tricks on the bike were done by an 18-year-old dude in a wig.
It's called Shortwave?
In the U.S., that's what it was named when it was released.
Because there's a sci-fi thriller called Shortwave. From
BMX Bandits is the movie. It's a comedy crime action film, so they're trying to shove it all into one thing.
What was the box office on that? I'm thinking 5 figures maybe.
The budget was just over $1 million, and it made these are always kind of tricky, but it says between 124,000 and 1 million. So
yeah, that's a lot of investors. A lot of investors lost their shirt on that. It's as
well, but they'll always have the movie.
Well, I guess when you create a great piece of art, that's sort of your legacy, right? That's what you That's what you did that transcends you. That's your
first line in his obit.
That's your gift to society. Well, Michael, we appreciate
the attempt. The song was terrible. Sorry.
We appreciate your interest.
What if he was in the papers?
But Michael, I don't think so. I know Michael through social media, and I think he's too discriminating to be sullied by associating himself with these clowns from down under. But I'm rethinking everything. If this is kind of what the movies he's watching and the music he's listening to, this is kind of a curveball. It's anyways, we appreciate your suggestions. I think we're getting to the bottom of the barrel on our new wave tunes that were movie themed.
Good.
So if you have one,
I thought he was going to say getting to the bottom of the barrel new wave tunes.
Send it.
We did that a while ago.
The papers.
We did that a while ago.
Yeah, this bottom of the barrel. This is the floor underneath the barrel. I think we are through the bottom of the barrel.
I preferred Fight the Good Fight.
Somebody call it Cooper. We need to thank our donors. This week we have a few people who opened their hearts and their wallets to us. Of course, Bryant, always appreciate the support. Frank weighed in with a kind contribution using our Venmo link. And he salutes classic movie theaters, the Alger Theater on the east side and the Old Redford, which is still open and showing movies. The Alger, we're trying to get it open, still a long way to go, but thank you for supporting those great movie houses, Frank. And Michael says, an informative and entertaining interview with Rick Emmett, referring to last week's show where we had Rick Emmett of Triumph was zooming in from Toronto to talk about his memoir, Lay It on the Line. And if you'd like to hear that show or any of our past episodes, go to mlsoulofdetroit.com. And we have a little feedback from Andrew, who says, "Hey, ML, fantastic get. Rick Emmett, great interview by you and the boys. I just ordered the book. I watched the documentary on Netflix. That's Rock and Roll Machine, the Triumph story. It was really cool. Rick is a really great guy. I would love to meet him someday. Maybe you can get him to play at the Caju Cafe. We would love to do that. He's retired from the show, but we have a friend, Lori, who helped set up the interview, who's working on it. That's all we can say. She's working on it. LOL, great pick. Tears for Fears. Shawn didn't like it. That's not really news, but they were one of Rick Emmett's favorite recordings, and so we played them in room 7609. Andrew says, I saw them last year at Pine Knob. They were awesome. It was my first time seeing them, and they are just amazing. Would love to get a beer up to Cadger sometime. Let me know sometime you are catching a show. I'm in the neighborhood. Keep up the great work, Andy. Andy,
Nice.
After today, I really could use a drink.
That was nice, Andy. Thank you, Andy.
You know, I got a COVID booster.
And by the way, we love Tears for Fears.
Oh, is that why you're angry?
No,
You are angry today.
I had a late hockey game for a Sunday. We were shorthanded. Late game. We pulled it out. We hung on.
You scored the winning goal.
No. That's not my role on this team anymore. I'm an energy guy.
A spiritual leader, so to speak.
Perhaps you'll have to ask my disciples.
Part of the hockey clergy.
Got up early to get my COVID booster. Went to my boxing class. Came home. I was feeling exhausted.
The deacon of the ice.
Completely beaten down, worn down. I thought, I'm going to come here. I'm going to somehow gut it out, get it done, slink home. But thanks to Shawn, my endorphins are blasting. And if my Spartans feel this same sort of energy, they may keep it to within two.
Shawn's hugging him.
2 scores. Look at that. Look at that. It's almost
No,
like
it's just funny because
it's almost like I'm a flight attendant.
No, I was dragging to get to the Michigan media this morning. It was a long couple of days, and I was exhausted and not feeling so great myself this morning. And I thought, how am I going to get through the show? Thank goodness Eli's in there. And then I thought, I know, we'll
talk about the Lions. Oh yeah, nobody's ever thought about that.
No, it wasn't the Lions. It was just
piss ML off.
No, I just said let's. I had an idea of how to throw some juice in it, and it ended up working. So I got the endorphins going for me too. So thank you.
What's your prediction for Saturday, ML? Gross.
I think it's going to be wet.
All I know is that Eli was smiling and laughing the whole time. So that's
it's going to be wet.
That's
and
pretty
wild.
good.
No, I hope there's a good game. I hope it's a competitive game. I would not put any money on the Spartans to cover or on the money line, but I like this rivalry when the games are close, because what happens when they become blowouts, either side loses their humility. And when Michigan State put up a graphic that the program threw out there near the end of the D'Antonio era that said those who stay are already champions, kind of making fun of Michigan's "those who stay will be champions" thing, I thought, okay, now we're turning into them, and that's
give
gonna
me
hurt
a break.
us.
What
That's
kind
what
of
happened.
fan are you?
That's what happened.
That's what makes sports fun.
I like a good-natured
You
rivalry.
want humility? Give me a.
No, it's not humility.
You
It's
said that.
No. I said they lose it. What happens is there's a difference between saying we're going to win, we're better, and being an obnoxious asshole. And when Spartans become obnoxious assholes, they seem a lot like Wolverines to me.
Nice broad brush.
Yeah.
The idea that you want a close game, please. Give me a
I want a
break.
close game. We're going to win.
Bullshit.
I would settle for a close game that we lose this year. I just don't know how that's going to happen.
After we spend so much time talking about the 29-6 game, the beatdown of Devin, give me a break.
The 29-6 game.
Yeah, when State beat Michigan 20, when they sacked Devin Gardner all those times, wasn't it 29-6?
Well, what the reason we were talking about that is we were talking about the event that Eli's going to MC tomorrow. And how that Devin Gardner, who I didn't expect to like, I didn't really know anything about him, but he was a great guy. And that whole thing about the beatdown showed how funny he was and how he just had a really good sense of who he is and perspective, which I think is one of the things that gets lost in this rivalry. I also met Braylon Edwards at this, who I never expected to like, and kind of liked him too.
Yeah,
Jake
'cause they're
Butt. I'm a
people.
huge fan of Jake Butt.
Because they're people. They're human beings.
Not all of them, but yeah.
Oh, my God, you're the worst.
Braylon ruined my friend's wedding.
Exhausting.
My friend got married at the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens.
Isn't that what makes sports fun?
Not when you're trying to enjoy your friend's wedding and
Why do you-
Braylon catches like 75 catches in
Wait, was your friend
overtime.
Was your friend not a sports fan?
He is a sports fan, but he's a Spartan sports fan.
Why do you get married? Wow, okay. Why do you get married then?
I mean, I think
The schedule's
that's the
out.
date that they picked.
Okay. I remember when I proposed
Probably
to my
his
wife.
wife's
I said to her,
his ex-wife's.
so it worked out. I said to my wife,
Plus, I think it's tough to book the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens on a Saturday night. You probably take the date that they have for you.
Oh, okay, priorities.
Well, I'll just say,
if you want people looking at their phones,
I think now he and I would both rather have gone to the game.
Of course.
By the way, did you see Mike didn't want to shake my hand? He's
no, I know. He's grumpy. He's really mad at you.
No, I was going to shake your hand, but I just read something about people who don't wash their hands after they go to the bathroom. I'm a little leery.
I already expect Eli to text me, and I'm going to say, it's not an act. He's pissed off.
Why would Eli text you?
Just, because he likes to follow up on things.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Well, he had fun, so Eli did.
He always does.
We want to make sure our guests have fun.
I was hoping maybe our audience would enjoy themselves.
Make sure they have a chance to talk.
I don't think Eli's ever been denied his airtime.
Fair point.
I think that
very fair point.
That is a fallacious argument.
I wasn't. I just said whoever the guest might have been in any given week. So yeah.
I was going to ask Shawn what's on the Carlos and Shawn podcast, but I think
it's going to be Lions.
No, it'll be a replay of what we just went through, except there won't be somebody who's reasonable,
who's angry. Yeah, there won't be somebody. There won't be a misanthrope on there. Carlos plays one. He's not actually one.
Well, I'm glad we shook hands then. So that's.
I reach across the aisle.
That's it. That's it. Why do you have to divide us, Shawn? Why can't we all come together?
I just stuck my hand out to reach across the aisle. You know what I mean?
Or to wipe a booger off. I don't know what's going on over there. I can't even see you.
Thank you.
We will be back next week. That's the bad news. The good news is we love to hear from you, so please send us your emails, send us your suggestions, give us your feedback at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. Please send us your money. We are losing sponsors like Michigan State is losing games. And so if you'd like to support us, you can go to our website, which is mlsoulofdetroit.com. There's a button on there for PayPal or for Venmo. Hit either one. The money goes to us. We appreciate it. We'll use it to buy some Lions gear so that we can all be part of this wonderful thing that somehow is going to solve the UAW strike and the trouble in the Gaza Strip, and I don't know what else is going to make everything better. Babies will be healthy, cancer will be cured, and those who don't feel as good about themselves as they would otherwise will don the Honolulu and blue and be transformed into superheroes, because that's the transformative power of our Detroit Lions, and I think by now you know that that's true. So,
yeah.
So that's it.
Okay. You don't have anything else?
I didn't have anything to begin with.
Okay.
Just.
All right, Shawn, you do the honors then.
Cyrus, get us out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Front page
ML
is on the air again at the same time
next week.
Be sure to listen. This is
Mark Fellhauer
saying goodbye for the sponsors of Front Page
ML.